Alright, the Chevy is officially a rolling chassis. Front end is together, steering's hooked up, rear axle together. So we've gone ahead and welded the perches in on the rear axle. This chrome diff cover. This axle is a Dana 60 semi-floater, and it's beefy. It's got, Ford calls it track lock, but it's basically a posi rear end. If you turn one wheel, they both turn the same direction. If it was an open rear end, that other wheel will be turning the opposite direction. We got a brand new custom built torque converter. Island torque converters. If you need a custom torque converter, this is the guy. This is like a custom thing that this guy did for me. If you look right in there, there's a bearing right here. And normally there isn't one right there. It just kind of all floats in there. So just a little beefier, makes it stronger. Okay, so with the Chevy, we got a rolling chassis. As you can see, we have the rear axle mounted. The front axle is in. We've dropped the engine in just to dry fit. And at this point, we're just kind of, putting the rest of the suspension together. And then we'll start mapping out the exhaust and the driveline. So this was a bit of an adventure getting the rear axle in. I made the mistake of welding the perches on the wrong side of the axle when I first put them on, and I put it together and the whole thing was raked forward quite substantially. I was like, yeah, okay, whoops. So I had to cut them back off and flip them back to the bottom side, and this time when I put it together, instead of welding the perches on and kind of measuring it as close as I could with a ruler and a tape measure, more or less eyeballing where the mounts were. This time I put the axle in and assembled, because I already had the rest of the suspensions assembled when I did this. So I took the axle off, cut the mounts off, and then put it all together loose and lined it all up, make sure it was square with the frame. And then once it was all nice and true and the driveline angle is where I wanted it, then I tightened up the U-bolts. And then I lifted this thing up 6 feet in the air and then welded the perches on after it was all assembled, which I think I probably should have done in the first place, but I'm learning. So what we're going to be doing now today is we're going to be installing some sway bars. Now, the rear involves a bit of drilling and bracket mounting. So we're going to start with the front first, and we're going to work our way over here. Here we are at the front, and we're going to go ahead and start trying to line this sway bar up. So first thing I got to do is kind of put this in place by eye and see basically where it's going to mount. I'm pretty sure it's about halfway in between those. Beautiful! And then I'm going to have to take a die grinder to this where the slotted hole is. I could try and do it with a drill, but it'd probably end up breaking my wrist or the drill bit. So let's take a die grinder and hog that hole out a little bit so it can fit a 1/2-inch bolt. what we done there is basically just take off the high spots, because after you die grind it out, the metal kind of deforms out and makes like a mushroom around the edge. So when you bolt it together, you get like little, well, basically like a rim of shit around the hole. So you basically just sand off the little burrs along the top, and then when you bolt it together, you get a nice clean clamp. So we're gonna go do that now. Beautiful. We have stabilization in the front end. It's going to make it handle like a sports car. This truck never came with stabilizers from the factory, front or rear, and we're installing both. Not because we want it to be a hot rod, but we just want it to handle a little better than a 71 3/4 ton with no stabilizers. So we got the sway bar in. Front suspension is basically complete. We're looking good. On track for a kick-ass 2021. So I'd like to thank you all for tuning in to all of our videos over the last year. 2020 has been a pretty trying time for everybody. Not going to lie, when I opened this shop in January, it was about, at the time it seemed like a great idea. 3 months later, I was thinking, Jesus, this is the worst possible time for anybody to even try and open a business. Fortunately, I've got a lot of good people surrounding me, and customers that believe in me and kept feeding me work and get me through the time. So I appreciate you all for watching and sharing with your friends. And I look forward to much more progress on this unit in the new year. You all be safe and take care. Be the solution.